Turn this music off. Hello, everybody. Okay, y'all know I'm a novice with this social media stuff, so we're gonna make it work. Okay, so welcome to Wind Me Down. I'm here on TikTok and live on Facebook at Arie. Just trying to navigate this. I got my wine right here. I'm not gonna lie, I was really tempted to open this before I started the live, but I want a few people to join me. So today we're going to be talking about all things solo travel. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Arielle. I'm a travel business owner and I'm also a travel business coach, and I teach people how to start their own travel business. You're going to see my eyes going this way, that way, because I have TikTok over here and I have Facebook over here. If you're on Facebook and you're just joining the live, or even on TikTok, comment live for me. And if you're watching the replay, comment replay. All right, I already see some comments coming in on Facebook. I'm trying to see how I could see both. Okay, but without further ado, I need to get my wine open. So I'm drinking one of my favorite red blends. This is called Menage a Trois, the silk version. Super delicious. And super affordable. But this is not a wine video, so hit me up about this later. So today we're going to be talking about solo travel. We're going to talk about all the stigmas of solo travel. We're going to talk about my solo trips of 2022. We're going to talk about the tips on how to gain the courage to go on a solo trip. We're going to talk about money, because that's one of the biggest factors. We're going to talk about how you could afford to go on a solo trip. And then I'm going to teach you guys, or tell you guys, about what the experience is like doing a one-on-one with me and having me create that solo experience for you. So grab a glass of wine or your drink of choice. Dream, I see you over here. I know you're going to pick up some vodka. Go ahead, girl. All right, let's see what's going on Facebook real quick. All right, y'all. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the stigmas of solo travel. You know, you've been thinking about going on a trip. You can't get your girls to figure out a date or agree on time off. We can't agree on where we want to go. And it's just confusion. And, you know, once you even get over the hump of deciding to go on a solo trip and you tell your family members and your coworkers, whoever, like friends, it's so taboo for people to travel solo, and especially Black women. My experience has not been great, so I usually don't tell a lot of people, or mostly at work I'll talk about it, but I don't really care for feedback. I'm not really looking for input. I'm just like, hey, I'm going to be in this place in that time. I don't really need your input about whether I should go solo, or whether I'm lonely, or whether I don't have anyone to go with, or because truth be told, I've gone on trips where I've declined invites for people to join me. And this is where I'm trying to get you. That's the level I'm trying to get you guys to, right? There's so many stigmas. And the one thing that people try to, do to project their fears onto you, they start talking about safety. What happens if something happens while you're over there? Or what happens, this country has been in the news, and USA has been in the news, and people are being killed here too. People are being kidnapped here. People are being, all the things that, we're scared about traveling international. It happens all over the world, even right here in our own backyard. So that should not be a reason why you stray away from solo travel. I want to get into my solo trips last year. I'm waiting on my Facebook tribe to show up, and I need to know what y'all drinking tonight. I am having my Menage a Trois red blends. Those on TikTok. Just waiting for a few more people to join before we get into it. Trying to figure out this Facebook thing. See what's going on TikTok. can't I see my comments? See them last week. All right, let's get into it. All right, TikTok, don't this week with the request to join my live because y'all a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, let me talk to you guys about my solo trips. So the beginning of last year, about I think in March. So I'm always online. I'm always on Skyscanner or Kayak or all of these sites that we use to find flights. Always looking for a good deal on flights because for me it's like I don't mind budget travel. I don't mind finding a flight that's like less than $200 round trip and going somewhere and then figuring it out later. I'm that spontaneous. And being a travel business owner, it's easy to just book a hotel and get good rates. So I found this flight and it was actually on Spirit out of Atlanta. It was going to El Salvador. It was like either 165 or 169, which is a great deal. There was a connecting flight in Miami. I don't really care about that. Miami is actually one of my favorite airports, even though people don't like Miami Airport, because I like being there a little early. I have to have at least maybe a 2 to 3 hour layover. I don't really check bags, so everything is on me. And I find the nearest bar to my terminal, and the vacation starts right there. So connecting flights don't really bother me that much. So I found my flight on the $200 round trip from Atlanta to El Salvador. And now this was my first solo trip. So I really was trying, I reached out to my friends, hey, you want to go to El Salvador? Nobody really wanted to come. And then I got to the point where, okay, what we going to do? Because I'm in all these solo travel groups and I talk about, trying to go on a solo trip on my own. You know what? Let's just do it. Let's do it. I got on TikTok, and that's something I do all the time. And I'll search for, things to do in El Salvador. I went on Instagram. I'm all over the place. I'm on Pinterest looking for things to do, and got myself really hyped up and excited about this trip. Posted about it in one of my groups about, finding things to do. Anyone who's been to El Salvador, let me know. Like, I need all the tips and trips. And then you had like strangers like, hey, do you want some company? I wanted to go to El Salvador. And I was like, no. I wanted some me time. I wanted to explore. I wanted this to be my first experience. Because, being able to solo travel and being an advocate for solo travel is one of the reasons why I started my travel business to begin with. I wanted the perks. I wanted, the benefits of being able to get trips cheaper, to be able to travel more. And I also wanted to encourage more people to travel solo. So I went on TikTok and I found this villa. It was like this over the pond. Well, first it looked like over water, but then when I actually got into the videos and stuff, it was basically like a pond. And it had like this boardwalk in the middle, and it had like these little huts. And I was in love. Like, you look at the reviews, the tours on it. It had like these, it had like an outside bathroom. It's in the middle of this garden. It was beautiful. If you go on my TikTok page, you'll see me post a lot of videos about my trip to El Salvador. Went ahead, looked up the resort, reached out to them and booked directly with them. So as an agent, I'm able to reach out to resorts and ask them, hey, I'm a travel agent, I have a business, and I wanted to come, try your product and see your resort. And they'll give you special rates because of that. So I did that with Eco Style Mandala Villas, and I was ready to go. And mind you, this was like 2 weeks. So I found the flight and it was leaving in like 2 weeks. Like, last minute travel is clutch to finding really cheap flights. I had 2 weeks to go. I literally would come home from work every night and be online. I'll be on Pinterest. I'll be in the Facebook groups looking at things to do. I was trying to find a tour guide because there's so many things I wanted to do. Like, I saw that like the Picnic Steakhouse was like something that was really trending on TikTok. I found Cafe Albania, which is like that zip line thing in El Salvador where you zip line on a bicycle. I wanted to do like the volcano hike. It's like a 3-hour hike up the volcano. Super strenuous, but super beautiful. There were so many things. I wanted to do coffee tastings. Like, there was a lot that I wanted to do. And I'm naturally a planner, so I was like, okay, bet. We're going to El Salvador. I put my little itinerary together. Now, the only thing I needed to do was to find tour guide. So Viator is like one of my go-to options for tour guides. If I'm looking for a company that I would trust, I definitely go to them first. But one night as I was scrolling on Pinterest, I saw this blog from this girl. I don't really know her. And I saw that she was talking about a tour guide in El Salvador. So I clicked on her profile and read up about the tour guide. And I saw videos and stuff that she posted about him. So I'm like, okay, maybe I could try him because he's a local tour guide. Not really a big business, but more of like a one-person band. I think he had like maybe a team of 5, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure now. So I started doing my research. I went straight detector. I'm on his business page. I'm in his DMs on WhatsApp. I'm on his website looking at all the reviews. I'm looking at the people who left the reviews. I'm looking at their profiles just to make sure that everything is legit. And when it comes to safety, there's really no like blueprint as to what specifically you need to look for. It just has to do with you and how you feel about going into this situation. After looking on the reviews, I went and found out that he had like a YouTube page. I went and watched all his YouTube videos because I wanted to get a feel for who he was as a person and see if I could trust him. And I don't know about you, I trust my gut, I trust my instincts. So I reached out to him and he responded, and I went ahead and sent him my itinerary. He was so blown away. He's like, usually people hit you up and they want to know more about the country or whatever. You came with your research. I'm like, yeah, of course I want to learn more, but here's the itinerary I want. I'm only there for 4 days and these are the things that I want to do. He gave me a price and we was in there. It was like maybe 4 or 5 days away when I made a deposit with him to secure my activities. Like he was gonna pick me up take me to all of the which was a really good deal that he gave me, because when you go to El Salvador, like everything is literally between like an hour, 2 hours away. Like it's really far. So having someone be able to like come pick me up, take me where I'm going, wait until I'm done, and then leave. Sometimes he'll even participate. Like he did the hike with me. I know in El Salvador you have to have a local or have like a professional guide with you, or the police don't allow you to go up to that volcano because it's so dangerous. But yeah, so going into this solo trip, my nerves were on fire because not only did I have to convince myself that, hey, you're going to do this, you're going to be great. When I started talking about it to I talk about it to my friends and coworkers, they're like, you going what? Gonna where? I didn't even know that El Salvador was like a tourist spot. I'm like, yeah. And I'm sending them all these TikToks. I basically got into this spiral where I felt like I was trying to convince them that it was okay for me to go. No, that's a dub. That's not what we're doing. And I have my family. I don't want to say that they're not supportive, but when it comes to me traveling and going to new countries by myself, they're not supportive. Like my mom literally acts like she's having a heart attack. Like as soon as I tell her, she's like, oh Lord, and you're going by yourself? Who you going with? And this. So I get to a point where I literally, when I travel now, I let her know that I'm there when I get there, or when I'm on my way back. That's when she's like, you were in? I'm like, yeah, I was last week. With who? By myself. She doesn't like that. My older sister, she's pretty supportive with me traveling solo, but she just doesn't like when I do like really crazy stuff. Like the bicycle zip line, that was one thing we talked about. When I went to Mexico, I jumped into this 49 feet deep cave and I can't swim. So I jumped in with a life jacket. That was not a good idea. She didn't like that, but beyond the stunts and the extreme, like, adventurous stuff, she's pretty supportive. But the point is, I want to get you to a place where you don't need other people's validation. You don't need their okay. Yes, safety is important. I'm going to get to that when I talk about the, gaining the courage to do it. But there's nothing wrong with traveling solo. So don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. All right, so my next solo trip was, first of all, El Salvador was a ball. I had fun. Everything panned out the way I wanted it to. I have super I have so much footage and so much content from El Salvador. I feel like I don't even have the time to go through all of it. But I made a few TikToks. You know, check out my TikTok page. I haven't got around to even make a YouTube video about it, but I will eventually. Um, so the next trip was actually a cruise, and it wasn't even supposed to be a solo trip, but it turned into a solo trip anyway. Wait, I'm getting notifications for Facebook, but I can't see no comments. Let me see. Okay. I'll wait. Oh, here we go. All right. So the next trip, boom, it was my birthday. I found a stupid cheap Caribbean cruise. Hey, cousin. Yeah. I feel like your mom, my mom, you know what? I'm not judging my parents because they come from a generation where I feel like, and even, Black West Indian women where they weren't able to travel, or if they did travel, it was always on like some family thing or maybe vacation. So it's like going anywhere without someone is super taboo in their mind. So I get it. And I mean, we're their kids, so I get it. I understand. It's not going to stop me, but I get it. So, birthday cruise. I found the cruise. Carnival was having a promotion where they were doing like early reduced deposit rates. I found a balcony room for like $1,000 for the total package. There was two people, $500 each for 5 days, and it was going to Grand Cayman Islands in Jamaica, and we're leaving out of Miami. So I'm like this, pay my little $50, hit up my friend. She paid her deposit, and we paid off the trip. I think we had like maybe 2 or 3 days to pay the trip. We did that. And then I told my cousin about it. But then they were like, I think a day or two later, the promotion left. But then they got it for like, I think maybe $200 or $300 more. So both my cousins were supposed to come. So it was supposed to be 4 of us going on this trip. Boom. This is August of last year. So everything's planned, ready to go. Maybe I want to say 3 weeks before the cruise. Let me take a sip of my wine because I didn't think this through because I'm talking too much to even get, yeah, give me a second. I'm going to scroll through my comments. So maybe a week or 2 or maybe even 3 weeks before the cruise, it started going downhill. And it started with, I don't know if it was my roommate or my cousin's. It was my roommate. No, it was my cousins first. They couldn't come because at that time, Carnival still required vaccinations and they didn't get their second vaccination dose in time. So they couldn't make it. We had to try and switch their cruise to another time. First, I'm the travel agent, so I'm doing all of, the planning, reaching out to Carnival, doing all this stuff. Finally got them rebooked for something else, so they weren't going to be there. Well, for my, I'm not going to say birthday because it wasn't really so much of a birthday celebration versus it being me finding a good deal and it just happened to be my birthday at the time. So maybe a week now in, or maybe like even 5 days in, my roommate, she actually got COVID. So now I'm like 5 days off. Like I already have my time off from work. I already have my cruise paid in full. My Shein packages already came. All my bathing suit, all my outfit, everything was there, ready to go. And they're telling me they can't come. It's my birthday. It's your birthday. You're gonna go on a cruise by yourself. That's what I'm telling myself. And I'm like, why not? You went to El Salvador by yourself. You plan on going this and that place by yourself. So why not go by yourself? So I went by myself. Booked my flight from Miami. Booked my hotel. So I fly in a day before because I'm not playing none of that mess where, flights cancel and you miss your cruise and all that. It's never going to be me. I booked my flight the day before, got a hotel, stayed by the cruise port, and I was ready to go. At 10 a.m., I was right in line at Carnival terminal, ready to get on the ship. And it's so crazy that, so I'm an extrovert, right? So I'm very social. I talk to anybody, get along with anybody. I do have some introvert tendencies because even though I'm an extrovert, I do like being alone and I need time to recharge to be around people. So I was in the line, had my headphones in, it's my music, ready to go. I was starving. That's one thing because the food at the hotel was not that great. I was starving, ready to get on the ship, ready to get my luggage checked or whatever to get on the boat. And there were these two girls in front of me. Later to come to find, they were from Chicago, but they were in front of me and they appeared to be best friends. They're actually best friends from, I think, elementary school or high school or something. They were in front of me, and I honestly don't even remember how the conversation started. I think it had something to do with the boarding pass for the ship and the app that we were using when we got inside or whatever. And this other lady asked us a question and whatever, and then we all started talking. So they was like, "Hey, how you doing, girl? Like, you're gonna meet your friends on the ship, or your friends are on the way, or whatever." I'm like, "No, I'm here by myself." They were like, "You here by yourself?" Same age, they're in their late 20s, old low 30s, and we're in the line. They're like, "You here by yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, by myself." What made you want to do a cruise by yourself? So all that skeptical stuff's coming back in again. But they were super cool, super chill. They're like, "Okay, well, you with us now." In my mind, I'm like, well, yeah, I can hang out with you guys, but I'm actually here by myself because I want to do something by myself. So, got on the ship with them. We were on different floors because I think I was on like deck 6 and they were on deck 8. And we met up for like dinner. We met up for like to go to the club for comedy stuff. And I had an amazing time. That would not have happened if I would have canceled my trip because everybody else couldn't make it. So I'm here to get you guys out of your head and on your first solo trip. I'm still waiting on a few people because I had some people in my inbox today. I want to plan a solo trip, but I'm scared. I'm worried about my safety. I told them to come here and meet me at 8 o'clock because we're going to get into it. I don't see Abigail yet. I don't see, what's her name? I think Sarah. I didn't see her yet. I think a lot of these people I met in like solo groups too. I'm going to get into it. If only TikTok would stop sending me these invites, live thingies, whatever. Okay, let's get into my 5 tips for gaining the courage to book your first solo trip, preferably with me as your travel agent. And I'm gonna get into why you should book with me towards the end after we talk about money. One of the first tips that I have for someone to gain the courage to go on their first solo trip would be to start local. You'll be surprised how many people have never like went out to have lunch by themselves or went out to have dinner by themselves, go to the movies by yourself. There's so many things like just beyond running errands. Do you ever just go out with the intention to be by yourself? Go to a concert by yourself? Like for some people, this sounds so crazy. Like why would I want to be at a concert by myself? Why would I want to go sit at a table and eat by myself? Because that's the first step to being okay with enjoying your own company. Drink break. Hey Megan, it absolutely feels so good to go out and eat. Me personally, I'm such a bougie person. Like I want to go to some of the nicest restaurants, and you can't take everybody to these kind of restaurants because they'll embarrass you. And then when the check comes, we over here pulling out calculators and trying to make sure everything. I don't like that. When the bill comes, I know I ate what I ate, and it's just me. Go ahead and take care of it. We ain't gotta worry about any of that. We ain't gotta worry about if someone's treating you to feel like you need to order less because like just enjoy your own company. Even put the phone down. Talk to the bartender. I sit at the bars a lot when I go out to eat. Sometimes if I do want to be by myself and I don't want to talk to anyone, I'll get a table. But for the most part, if I go out to eat, I'm going to go sit at the bar top and engage in conversation with someone at the bar if it happens, or even talk to the bartender. Like that's what it's about. Being able to go out and enjoy your own company and not have to depend on other people. Because truth be told, well, I have a lot of practice because I don't work a conventional job. I don't work a regular 9 to 5 where I have weekends off. Typically weekends are when I'm more busy. So I'm usually free during the weekend from Monday through Thursday when I'm not in class or doing my travel business stuff. And it's those are the evenings when people are like, I don't want to be out too late because I got work in the morning. Or let's do something on the weekend. No, I can't do it on the weekend because I'm busy. So I've kind of, had to do a lot of things by myself, and that's okay. And I feel like that has helped me a lot when it comes to being able to travel solo. I'm checking Facebook comments. Can't really see y'all like last week. I'm trying to, I see some comments and I see, here we go. Hey, Darlika. Darlika says she did Essen solo, and we're actually in the process of planning her solo trip. I'm trying to get her to Jamaica or Mexico, child. But I'm going to get back to you with that. Yeah. So the first tip is to start in your own town. That concert you always wanted to go, do it by yourself. Go to the movies by yourself. Make dinner reservations for one. And go enjoy dinner by yourself. It is okay. I'm giving you permission right now. You know what? We're drinking to you being able to go out by yourself and enjoy your own company. Number 2 is similar to number 1. Hi, Abigail has joined the party. So Abigail hit me up today and she was like, hey, I want to go on a solo trip, but I can't find anyone to go with. I'm scared to go by myself. Don't be scared. I got you. We're going to get you planned and ready to go on your first trip. I think she's in Antigua. Yeah, she's in Antigua. A lot of you guys don't know that I'm Antiguan by descent. I grew up in Antigua, did all my schooling. I went to elementary school, high school, everything in Antigua. Even my first year of college was in Antigua, and then I migrated to the U.S. So that's that's my people, that's my culture. We're going to get you up out of Antigua, girl, and on your first solo trip. So the first tip, is the last time I'm going to say it because I feel like I'm being redundant, is to do something local. Go ahead and have dinner by yourself. Go to a concert by yourself. Make plans with yourself. The next one is like an addition. Number 2 would be to plan a trip and do a solo trip somewhere nearby by yourself. That's what solo means. So I'm in Atlanta. For my people in Atlanta, we could get together and plan a solo trip for you to go to like Nashville, Tennessee. There's so much to do in Tennessee. We could have activities planned for every day if you want with groups. We could have you laying by the poolside. We could have you up in the cabin. You could go to, what else is nearby? South Carolina. That's like a 5-minute drive. You could drive down to Florida. You could go up to Savannah, Georgia. I've had a lot of activities to do in Savannah. Go to Tibby Island. They have like walking food tours. They have like scavenger hunts. And they're a part of a group. So although you'll be solo, you'll still have company and be able to feel safe. Hey, Angie. And join the building. And let me tell you about my girl Angie real quick. She is the solo travel queen and she's not waiting for anybody. Okay? Miss Mamas is in St. Kitts right now. Miss Mamas was in El Salvador in the beginning of December. Miss Mamas was in Morocco in December as well because she's not waiting on anybody. And this is where I'm trying to get you guys to. Hey, Lika Marie, Savannah would definitely be nice. I've never been, but one of my first trips that I booked when I became an agent was for one of my coworkers and her boyfriend. They were going up to Savannah for a little getaway. So I am familiar with things to do up there. I'm scrolling through, make sure I didn't miss anybody's comments. Good night. Okay, so first thing is to start local city adventures. The next thing is to do a nearby city. If you're in Antigua, take a trip to Barbuda and stay out there for a few days by yourself. Take a trip to, well, I guess Dominica will technically be out of the country, but it's nearby and it's gonna feel familiar because you're around more Caribbean people. So I think the Caribbean is like a great option for people who are in Antigua already because you already have a feel for the culture and you'll be able to navigate and you can understand what they're saying. I went on trips. I went to El Salvador, which is a predominantly Spanish speaking country. I don't speak Spanish. And I went. Well, my guide did, but still, you do things that if you feel like the language would be a huge barrier for you and you feel uncomfortable, get someone who speaks English. Get a translator. A lot of these Hispanic countries are stupid cheap. I try not to quote prices when it comes to like guides and stuff like that because I want to give them an opportunity to charge whatever their rates are, and who knows if my rate was an outdated rate. So I don't want to quote prices, but it's not really that expensive to get a tour guide. Number 3 would be to do things, and I kind of already touched on this a little bit. Do things to make yourself feel safe. One of the big things for me is money, and what's crazy is that I do these things even when I'm on trips with other people. Even when I go out to like, let's say I go to like a fete or something in down in Atlanta, or on a trip with someone else, on a solo trip, I'm doing the same things where I'm putting money in different parts of my body. Like if I'm wearing boots, there's money in my shoes. There's money in my the back of my phone case. There's money in like my jeans pocket. I leave cash in like my suitcase. In like, you know how your luggage has like an inner lining where you can like zip it open. I would like put money in like a jean pocket and put it inside of the lining of the. So it's like you never know what could happen to you. You never know if I could lose my phone. I could lose my wallet. I can't have all my funds in the same place. And I'm also leaving money in the safe in the hotel. I've never had any issues with that. One of the other things I do to feel really safe is to, when I'm by myself specifically, and I still do this when I'm with other people, is I make copies of my documents. So I usually have my ID on me because the ID is like plastic. So even if you go on excursions, whatever, it gets wet, it's not an issue. But my passport, I leave it in the safe, in the hotel. But I've made copies of my passport and my ID, and I have that with me. So when I go on excursion, any boat tours or whatever, I'm taking my ID with me. Anything happens to me, I need to be able to be identified and return to sender. So that's one of the things I do to make myself feel safe. One of the other things I do is get insurance. I probably would have to do a live about insurance. A lot of people don't realize that insurance is not just about being able to get your money back. That's the biggest part, being able to get your funds back, especially when you're traveling solo. But it's also, you also could get insurance that covers like any expenses that come up health-wise. You have to go to the doctor while you're on a trip. Anything happens on an excursion or whatever, you could have supplemental insurance that could cover these expenses, because obviously your insurance or in you're at wouldn't cover something in a foreign country. So that's one of the other ways that I try to be safe. One of the other things that really works for me is I share my whereabouts with family. So I have a cousin Gerald. I'll be sending her like my pin, where I'm at. You know how you can send like your location to people? I do that. I send my itinerary so they know where I'm supposed to be and when I'm supposed to be there. So that's another layer of protection. I don't do that too much right now, although I should. But communicate with your family members, or just have that one friend. You know how they say, when you're online dating, I used to have a friend where I used to literally send her, like, I'll get in somebody's car. Well, I don't do it anymore because I drive. But if we're going on a date, you come pick me up, I'm sending her a license plate. Like, I'm sending her pictures. You're across the table eating, and I'm taking a picture of you, saying, hey, this is who I'm out with. You can do the same thing when you're traveling. And even when I was with Salva in El Salvador, I was getting content from my YouTube page, but that was also a level of security for me. I would say, hey, get in my video, let me introduce you to my friends or whatever. And I sent that video straight to my friend, because what we're not about to do is disappear. So that's one of the options as well. The fourth one would be, pardon me, I'm going through my comments. Hey, my sister. Angie was just saying, exactly, copies of your information is necessary to take pictures. That's one good thing. I do a lot of screenshots of like my reservations. Like, let's say, my flight itinerary or your hotel information, just in case you get to these countries and, the reception's not that great or you can't get Wi-Fi, you have a screenshot in your phone of your information. So you're able to, let's say you need to take a cab. First of all, if you book with me, you'll never need to take a cab because I'll have a transfer at the hotel at the airport waiting for you. But if you do need to take a cab, you have your hotel information and everything in a screenshot, so you're able to, just in case you don't have service. Or if you get, can't do Uber if you don't have service, but screenshots are good and copies of your documents are good. I'm getting notifications, but I can't look at not comments, notifications right now. Hey, Nisha. Nisha, I think, is in Barbuda in the house. Hey, girl. Okay, so number 4, do your research. What does research entail? So, you know how you with somebody, and I've been single for a while, so this doesn't relate to me, but you with somebody and they just stop talking to this new girl and you want to find out who she is, so you're going to turn into a whole Facebook stalker. You're going to try and dig deep and turn into a whole detective. That's what you do. You're going to turn into a detective about where you're going, where you're staying, who's going to be around you. So when I did El Salvador, any trip that I do, when I was on the Cayman Islands, when I was in Jamaica, I start to join. I'm in a lot of travel groups, so I would make a post and ask questions. Hey, I'm looking to be in this place in a week or 2 weeks. What can you tell me? Do you have any recommendations? Where not to go? Food choices, whatever. And then one of the things that's super underrated is I join community groups. So you go on Facebook and there's a community group for everything. There's one for Antigua. There's one for any destination you can think about. You join these community groups and you'll not only be able to see people who have visited that place before, but you'll be able to be in contact with locals that live there who could give you real good information about, you're looking for photographer in a local destination, you're looking for where to eat, you're looking for where to stay, you're looking to get good rental rates, whatever you're trying to do, you need to go find that community page for that country and start mingling and asking questions, using the search bar to search for what you're looking for to see somebody else made a post about it. That's research for me. Research is what I said earlier when, I look at my tour guide and I'm looking at his YouTube pages, I'm looking at his reviews, I'm looking at the people who left the reviews, their pages. There's different ways to do research. I love watching travel vlogs and stuff. I'm going somewhere. I haven't been to Spain yet, but I could tell you about all these small little villages and countries in Spain that I want to go to and talk to you in detail about it because I've done so many research on these destinations. That's why it's crazy to me when people are like, oh, you have travel agents out here booking travel and never been. So what? We have access to information. We have access to suppliers who have training. We have access to other agents, hundreds of agents who have booked travel for that person and their clients come back and give them reviews. There's a lot of ways to do research and you should tap into that. Number 5 is just do it. That's it. Just count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. Book the trip. Get with a travel agent. But just do it. What's the worst that could happen? You go and you have a great time. I think a lot of, the control comes from your mindset too. I can't think of a trip that I had a horrible time. Maybe there's destinations that I wouldn't really want to return to, but no matter where I go, I'm the vibe and I'm going to control the narrative and I'm going to have a great time. Okay. So we talked about tips to get encouraged. Let's talk about why you should work with me one-on-one. I'm trying to keep this under an hour because I don't want to, it's already 40 minutes in. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Talk about why you should work with me as a travel agent and what I bring to the table. And then we're going to talk about, how to afford taking these trips. Because I don't want to color code it. Traveling solo is more expensive than when you travel with someone else. That's just the honest truth. So I'm going to talk to you guys about how you could save money, how you could find ways to expand your budget. But first, let's talk about why you should book with me. Okay. Oh, let's drink to that. You know what? This is supposed to be wind me down. I don't see nobody else drinking. Jiz, I'm going to need you to post a picture of what you're drinking because you told me you was going to pull up with a drink. So I need to know what y'all drinking on the Facebook side. Hey, TikTok. TikTok really don't be popping like Facebook, but I'ma still keep going live because it's gonna take that one night. So what you guys drinking and where are we tuning in from? I see a bunch of people. I see people from, I see Jersey in the house. I see Barbuda. I see St. Kitts. I see, I don't know where you're from, Lika Marie. I know Abigail's from Antigua. I see, oh my God, Megan, where are you from again? Arkansas. All right, so, Anita said she's drinking a little bit of tea. That's what I should be drinking. I don't want to, because the wine is better. Not better for you, but it tastes better. Makes me feel better. So number one reason why you should book with me is because you're gonna have your very own hype man. I'm very good at it. First things first, you hit me up and you're gonna, I'm pretty sure Abigail could testify to this because she was in my inbox earlier talking about, oh, I wanna go, but I'm scared to travel by myself. And I'm like, girl, let's nip that in the bud and let's get you on your trip. I am gonna be your number one hype man. I can't. Sorry, I'm getting all these pings and I'm trying to see y'all comments, but they keep disappearing. Be a number one hype man. One of the other reasons why you should book with me is because I'm very detail oriented. I'm super anal with details. Like, from the day I book my flight to the day I actually leave, and even when I'm at the airport, I'm still doing research. Because I want to make sure that everything's perfect. Yes, you want to live in the moment, but you don't want any surprises when you're in a country by yourself. So you need to have a backup plan for a backup plan for a backup plan, and that's what I'm here for. So all you need to do is show up to the airport, and I'll handle all the details. I'm handling your flights. I'm handling your all-inclusive resort if that's what you're looking for. I'm handling your airport transfers, so when you get to these countries, you're not being bamboozled and having taxi guys at the airport try to charge you way more than what it costs. And I'm handling insurance because I want to make sure that if life happens, you're taken care of. There are different types of insurance, whether you want travel credit, whether you want your money back, whether you want to have supplemental insurance that would help with any kind of, with any kind of health issues that may arise when you're in out of town. I have a friend who literally tells me, like, every time she travels, something's going on with her son. She had to take him to the dentist. She had to do whatever. Supplement insurance, that's where it comes in. Especially when you're traveling with kids, it's definitely a must. Let me drink some water because I don't know what's going on with my throat right now. One of the other reasons is that I have access to reputable sources. If I haven't been to the country, I love booking trips for places I've been before. And I want to say maybe I've been to like 10 countries, and it's mostly, I think 8 of them are like Caribbean islands versus like South America. So if it's somewhere I've been before, I'm super hyped about it because I've been there. I'm going to be able to tell you all the tips, hacks, everything. I'm really going to get into it because then I've experienced it before, so I'm able to, navigate that for you. Even if I haven't been there before. There are different ways. I have suppliers that I use over and over. I literally have my go-to supplier for the Caribbean and Costa Rica and Costa Rica and Colombia are also on these, even though they're not technically in the Caribbean. I have my go-to suppliers that I use over and over and over. So I know that it's not a third-party website like maybe Frontline or something. 'Cause you guys know that when you book flights and stuff on these third-party websites, that you're the first, when they overbook the flights, you're the first person to get kicked off a flight or whatever, like because you didn't book directly with them. My all-inclusive Caribbean supplier books directly with the airline. So let me give you an example. This week I had a client who booked a trip like $10,000. They booked the trip, 4 people. They had all the trimmings, and they decided for personal reasons they didn't want to go to this destination anymore. They wanted to go somewhere else. They had insurance, so for travel credit, so I was able to, call in, get with the supplier, change the destination with no penalties because they had insurance. And the only issue would be, like, let's say they spent $10,000 for this trip, and the new trip is $12,000. They would have to pay that difference, of course. But if it was below, they'll either get credit or get their money back. In this case, the trip was less, and they got the money back that wasn't spent. That money could also be used for, like, let's say they wanted to add excursions or whatever to their trip. They could use that money for that as well. But, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. We were able to rebook the trip, and my supplier had direct access to the airline. It was JetBlue at the time, so they have literally a JetBlue department where they have direct access to the airline, and that's how they're making changes to make sure that my client gets flights and everything is secure, and they'll never ever be booted off a flight or show up and there's no reservation because they booked with a third party. I'm able to have access to other agents if I haven't been somewhere. So I'm scrolling now. Yes, Nisha, travel insurance is actually a must. And, okay, don't get me wrong. When I first started traveling, before I got into travel business, I didn't book insurance because in my mind, I'm going. Like, hell or high water, I'm going. And I've been fortunate enough to not have to deal with any, big things. But now as an agent, for sure, absolutely, insurance is being added. I don't have a lot of pushback with my clients because, people will be like, oh, I don't want to book with a travel agent because they're always adding stuff that you don't need or whatever. When in actuality, you could have, let's say, a trip with like a flight and hotel that's like $1,000, right? And you got to add insurance for, let's say, $60 for 2 people. You add the insurance. And then you have to add something else, like transfers, or you add like an excursion, and it comes up to $1,200, right? You show someone a detailed breakdown of that pricing, and they see that, oh, I'm spending $60 on insurance. I'm spending $30 on airport transfers. No, just give me the resort and the flight for $1,000 versus me going to my client and be like, hey, I got this all-inclusive, comprehensive package for you, and for just $1,200. You're going to get your round-trip, nonstop flights. You're going to get your all-inclusive resort. You're going to get your airport transfers. You don't have to worry about when you get to the airport, there's going to be someone with a sign with your name waiting for you to take you where you want to go. And you also have travel insurance. So in the event that life happens, because we can't control this, you'll be taken care of. You'll be able to either get your money back or get travel credit for a future trip. And it's just $1,200. Bet. It's a deal. Let's go. How much is the deposit? When can we do a payment plan? Can we whatever? There's the scrutiny is not there. It's a mental thing, because here you have somebody who's willing to pay $1,200 for an all inclusive, and then you have someone who sees the price breakdown and they start penny pinching. Hey, no, I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that. It's a mental thing. We have to get away from that. The biggest thing for me with my clients is being able to make sure if you're not getting to your destination and having a great time, something happens, you're getting your money back. I had some clients in October. These ladies, they were going to Mexico for the first time. One of them didn't have their passport yet, but we still wanted to go ahead and book. I think they hit me up like in, oh my God, maybe August, the end of August, and they were traveling in October. I know it took like maybe 6 to 8 weeks to get passport. So I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and book. But I made sure I put insurance on that trip for travel credit, because I know they want to go on the trip, and I know the passport isn't really a big deal, because even if it comes late, we'll be able to push the date back or rebook for another time. So we went ahead and booked. However, it was hurricane season in October, of course, and they hit me up, hey, we heard about all these, hurricanes in the Caribbean and like earthquakes, I think. Although I don't know for a fact because I'm not God, but Cancun is, I don't think, is really known for getting like, earthquakes and stuff. I think it's deeper in Mexico, but that's not my, job to impress my opinions or try to convince anyone to go somewhere if they feel unsafe. I'm like, hey, okay, let's change the date. Where do you want to go? Went ahead and canceled their trip, got their flight credit through their insurance, and I was able to navigate booking a trip for them for literally the same price. Um, they had penalties because they booked with a budget airline. But then, of course, this is something that I let them know before we actually book, because budget airlines give you really good prices, but when it comes to rebooking and stuff, they usually have fees. My clients agreed to those fees before we even booked the first trip to begin with, so they didn't have a problem with paying the rebooking fee to rebook it for a later date. Now they moved from I think they were going to the Royalton Hideaway, all inclusive, adults only in Mexico, and I was able to get them a trip. Oh my god, when they're leaving in April, I think. I gotta go look. I think they're leaving in April, and they're going to Rio Latino, all inclusive Rio resort that just opened in October. So not to say Royalton is not a good resort plan. I love Royalton. In certain countries, I like Royalton, but they upgraded from a good resort to an even better one because it's a new resort. That means they're getting a brand new resort, brand new rooms. Everything's going to be updated. Rio is a brand that has been around for a long time, and they have several locations throughout the Caribbean and even in Mexico. And especially Jamaica. I know they have a lot of them in Jamaica. But this is a brand that I trust because, they've been doing this for a long time. So I know, even though it's a new resort, that my clients would be in good hands. I see some comments coming in. Hold on. My sister has joined the building. Dun, 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 dun. I promise y'all I'm not even tipsy because I didn't drink a lot of the wine, and this is still the first glass. This is my personality. I'm extra. I'm out there. Nisha says she loves my transparency. Thanks, girl. I'm ready to get you and your boo out of Barbuda and on a trip. Where y'all trying to go? We trying to go to Dominica. We want to go to Jamaica. We want to go to DR. Where are we trying to go? Okay, y'all, it's been 50 minutes. Let's wrap this up. It's been fun, but I do want to go back to actually sipping my wine and listen to music. But I do want to touch on how you could afford traveling solo. And then I want to address a question that I get from a lot of people that are in Antigua about trips and what I'm able to do for them as far as like payment plans and stuff. That's what I'm going to end on. But let's talk about how to afford traveling solo. So traveling solo is sometimes a lot more expensive than when you're traveling with someone else and you're able to book a cruise or book a resort with double occupancy, because at the end of the day, the resorts and the cruise lines, they want to make money. So would it benefit them more to book a room for $1,000 for two people, or book a room for $1,000 or book a room for $500 for just one person? So I think they usually book these rooms like at a 75% rate. So where you would spend like $1,000 for two people and it's just $500 per person, they'd book this room for maybe $750. And that's just an extra cost, sadly, that we have to incur as solo travelers. And that's a cost that I don't mind. I mean, I'm not big money bags or nothing, but I do like having my own room. I like not having to share a bathroom. I like my own space. So I could go out, I could club, I can party, I could go have dinner and do all this extrovert stuff, but then I like returning to my own. You know how amazing it was to be on my cruise in August and be able to wake up and I open my blinds, of course, balcony room or nothing else. I'm able to open my blinds and I'm here laying watching TV and literally just watching the ocean, waking up, or going upstairs to the buffet to get breakfast and come back down to my balcony to sit and, enjoy the sunset or whatever. Like, it's a vibe. All right. I thought this comment, I'm trying to see. My sister says she's ready to go. So, y'all, I got my sister coming up here in April to go to the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos with me. I'm over the Bahamas, but because she's my sister and I love her, I'm gonna go ahead and get off the ship. Even though I don't want to because I've been to Nassau already, it's fine. I'm gonna go. But she's coming with my brother-in-law, and it's gonna be their first cruise. They're celebrating their 5th anniversary, and it's gonna be a whole vibe. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to turn up and do all the adventurous stuff that I want to do. I know that because they're not jumping off no hills, or they not doing no zip line and all that crazy stuff. But we're still gonna have a great time. What were we talking about? Money. Yeah. So these hotels and these cruise lines, they're gonna price these rooms for like 75% of the rate when you travel solo. I think Norwegian Cruise Line was one of the cruise lines who actually first started doing like solo cruiser cabin specials. Virgin Voyages does it too. With Carnival, they do it to an extent. You could just run a rate for one person, but it's still pretty close to what you would pay for two people. So two people is always like the best deal. But if you're dedicated to traveling solo, that's just a cost that you have to incur. Yeah, Abby, we're gonna get you on a cruise, whether it's that visa-less cruise or you're trying to come to Miami and do a little quick Bahamas. We on it. I see Jess. Oh, Jess from the Frisco's. Hola, mommy. So one of the ways to save, not really save money, but to be able to afford going on a trip solo is to book early, right? Get with me. I have people hitting me up for cruises for 2024. And I kid you not, there's not a lot of availability because people are already booking trips for a year, 2 years from now. I think you're able to see cruises for like up to 3 years or more. Like people are already planning in advance so they can get really low payment plans to go. So I know people that are excited like, oh, I'm going on a trip. I got to wait till next January. You know what happens when you look for a resort for January from now and we're still in January? You get a low rate. Because the resort, the more the resort gets full and booked up, the higher the prices go. It's supply and demand. We learn it, in school. It's the same thing. That's how business works. So you want to get those low prices earlier. Same thing with cruises. And cruises and some resorts, sometimes if you have the money on hand, it is cheaper as well to book. Like, let's say you want to travel for next week and like they have space in that ship, they may run a promotion to just sell the cabins that they have, or with a resort, they'll run a promotion to fill the rooms that they have if you're traveling like within a week or 2 weeks. Everyone doesn't have the funds available to do that. So my recommendation is to book in advance and utilize a payment plan. For my U.S. citizens, you guys are able to actually finance your vacation. I'm actually certified with Uplift, which is a financing tool that allows you to pay for trips, whether you're paying for the hotel and resort as a package, or you're paying for a car rental, you're paying for excursions. You could do this with Uplift. And let's say you want to travel in August, right? And we're now in January, and you want to book for August. And August is usually a little bit expensive, unless you're booking a cruise, because during hurricane season, cruises are cheaper. You could get a financing option with Uplift. Uplift would go ahead and take your information. I, as the agent, would add all of the information, the total package, where you're going, where you were from, and I'll send the application to your email. You will respond to this application, and Uplift will respond and let me know whether you're approved or declined for the financing option. If you're approved, they'll go ahead and send me a virtual card that's used to pay the total cost of your trip. Everything is paid up front, and then you would then go ahead and agree to terms with Uplift to make payments. Uplift have terms that would have you do payments in 6-month increments up to 13 months. So if you're traveling in August and you're booking now in January, you may be, on your 7th payment, and you'll be able to go on your trip and come back and still, be able to pay on that trip. So it doesn't have to be paid off in full before you leave. So that's when you hear me talk about buy now, pay later option, that's what I'm referring to. There are other options like Affirm and other financing options that you could use to pay for vacation. This doesn't work, of course, for my Caribbean clients because it's a U.S.-based company. They don't accept anyone who doesn't have a social security number. Another way that you could, and this is something that I did when I wanted to travel, is to get a side hustle. A side hustle in the US, well, not even in the US. People sell plates from their house. People drive Uber, people do DoorDash, people do Instacart, people offer, graphic design services. What are you doing? Like, you don't even have to be a graphic designer nowadays to do like business cards and logos and stuff like that. There's so many applications that people are starting businesses and they're creating stuff for people who have businesses and they don't have the time, or they just want to, get external help to be able to take something off their plate. There's so many avenues to be able to create a side hustle, to be able to pay for your trip. You get a side hustle and you'll be able to save money or even put something towards your little payment plan. I used to pick up extra shifts at work, literally just to pay for a trip. I used to use Uplift and finance trips. It's different now that I'm a travel agent, because now I have, a whole different system when I book trips. I have group trips that I'm booking that I don't have to pay for my room, because when I book a certain amount of rooms, I get my room for free. I have suppliers that offer me incentives like, you book at this resort or you book this amount of nights at this resort and you get free nights at this resort. So I plan my trips around that. I plan my trips around flights. Like, let's say I go online, I go to Skyscanner or Google Flights, and I Google, I just put everywhere, put in my departure city, which is Atlanta, or even New York, and I put search for everywhere. And what these applications do is they show you, and I've even done this for Antigua too. Like, I put Antigua as a departure place, and then it shows you everywhere within whatever month you choose, August, September, later this year, it's cheaper to fly to, and I book my trips around that. So if I go online and it says, hey, in June, you'll be able to book a flight to St. Lucia for $250 round trip. Say what? I'm booking. Whether I needed to finance it or, work an extra shift to be able to pay for it, I'm booking, and then I'm worrying about everything else later. So when you guys see me, well, not now, but then when I used to travel a lot, one of my first trips was like Bermuda, and then I went on a cruise to the Bahamas. All these trips were basically financed. Either I financed them and then paid for them little over time, or I financed them and paid everything before I left. Whatever the case may be, there are different avenues for you to be able to save money and be able to travel more. Budget travel is also, you have to be open. For me, I don't want to stay at any resort that's not as good as my own apartment. So when it comes to hotels, like, I need top notch, I need luxury. So that's something I don't really penny pinch on, but I do penny pinch on flights. So all of the Spirit flights, the Frontier flights, the Southwest, where I get my 2 check free bags, all of that. Even though I don't really check bags like that, but all of the budget airlines is what I'm getting on, because the alternative is just to get from point A to point B. A lot of people are like, no, Delta has this and blankets, or bring your own blanket. Delta gives you headphones, bring your own headphone. It's fine. Go to sleep, read a book. All I need to do is get from point A to point B, and if you could do that for me for under $200 or less, round trip, I'm outside. Hold on, I see a bunch of comments. Wait. Gisette says she wants to be on the cruise. Girl, I've told you, go grab your little Trini sisters and your cousins and them, and let's go on the cruise. Ebony, hey Ebony T. Uplift is not an option for Caribbean residents unless you have a social security number. They don't do a hard pull on your credit. It's a soft overview, but you have to have that that social security number to be able to do that. So if you're a Caribbean person living in the U.S. and you have access to that, that's something you could do, but that's not something I could do for my Caribbean clients. And we're over an hour, so I do want to wrap it up, but I want to address my Antiguans. I want to address my Caribbean people who are looking to travel within the Caribbean. who are looking for visa-less options. That's something that I really feel like I want to tap into because I'm getting a lot of requests. I made a post about St. Martin, I think yesterday or something, and my um, inbox is filled with quotes that I need to address from people from Antigua. So there are two ways I'm able to book a trip for anyone in Antigua who's looking for, whether it's a visa-less cruise or you're looking to go to Dominica, St. Lucia. You want to go to, well, Trinidad isn't one of my suppliers, but I could find one. Where else? You want to go to DR because there's a visa-less route to go to DR. You're flying to San Domingo. You want to go to Turks and Caicos. You want to go to Aruba. You want to go to Curacao. I could get you there. Here are the options that you have. All right, I see the comments coming in. I'm trying to get to them too. We need more details coming out of Antigua. Yes. So, always wanting to go to St. Lucia. Let's get you to St. Lucia, girl. So, here are your options. I have a supplier that's able to offer my Caribbean people a payment plan. I have payment plans as low as $50 per person. I have payment plans with insurance for as low as $109 or $89 per person for a deposit. The only contingency with this is I'm not able to book a flight for you with this payment plan. Usually in the US, when you do a payment plan for someone, the cost of the flight is something that's due up front. So let's say your flight is $300 and the total package is $1,000 for a week to go somewhere. The deposit would be $300 because they want that $300 to cover the flight. Flights don't give payment plans. So that's why it's not an option for people coming out of Antigua. I do have a supplier who's able to give me packages that include flights from Antigua, but because they don't offer payment plans, they would need the total balance for that trip up front. I went online last night because I was looking for some trips to St. Martin. Some people, they hit me up. A lot of people hit me up, so they want to go for shopping trips in St. Martin. So I was looking for that, and I found a lot of good deals for like $750 US, $1,000 US per person to go to St. Martin for 5 days for the weekend, stay at an all-inclusive resort. A lot of people don't want to stay in an all-inclusive, but if you did, I do have options for that. But that would require that you come up with that $750 to book that trip right there and then. So whether you want to get your little side hustle on, you want to get a box hand, a susu, whatever we call it nowadays, and get what you need, I could give you a quote roughly for what it is. You could save towards that, and then when you come back to me, we refresh that quote and we'll be able to book it in full then. The other option would be to book your flights independently, and I'll be able to do a land package for you. The land package will be inclusive of your hotel accommodations, airport transfers, and insurance, and you'll be able to pay as little as $50 to $109 as a deposit per person to go ahead and put a payment plan structure in. With the payment plans, the full balance is usually due 30 days before you travel. So if, let's say, you want to get a quote into me this week, you want to go to St. Martin, you want to go to St. Lucia, you want to go to Dominica, you want to go to Jamaica in August, we can start that payment plan for you, and your total amount would have to be paid in full by July of whatever date. If you're leaving August 11th, your total package price, full payment will be required by August 10th, not August 10th, July 10th. So 30 days before you travel is when the full balance is needed. So if you want to travel for Christmas, I'll say go ahead and get that deposit plan, that quote into me so we could get a payment plan working for December. So by November, you'll be booked and ready to go, 30 days, and you can start saving money for, excursions that you're going to do, saving money to eat out if you didn't get an all-inclusive, saving money to shop when you get to St. Martin or wherever you're trying to go to. You'll have 30 days to do that, and your trip would already have been paid in full. So I'm going to make a post about this maybe tomorrow. Maybe tonight I'll make it and I'll post it tomorrow for my Caribbean people and how we could go about getting payment plans or getting trips that includes flights. Again, trips that include flights would need to be paid up front. Trips that are just land packages I could do resorts, airport transfers, travel protection, and even excursions. You want to do ATVs, you want to do horseback riding, we can put all that into a package for you and give you a payment plan for as little as $50 and $109 with insurance. Let me just said $50 deposit. $50 is send me the invoice. I'm booking it right now because I know you got $50. Well, in you see that $35 or so, depending on what your bank is. So Ebony, I hope that answered your question or your comment about needing details coming out of Antigua. And this goes for any Caribbean island. I'm able to look for all-inclusive packages with flights from flying out of Antigua, flying out of Jamaica, flying out of anywhere. You want to go to Paris, you want to go to Dubai, we could get you where you need to go, but it would need to be paid paid in full up front. Deposit payment plans are available if you're doing a land package only, and a land package is everything under the sun excluding flights. Okay, Ebony, you're welcome. All right, guys, we're gonna go. I think I touched anything. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, I think I went through everything. Yeah, that was it. Checking TikTok to make sure I didn't have any questions on this side of town. All right, over here on Facebook. All right. Oh, my sister said next trip is Bali because apparently she got money. Well, so Bali is actually really cheap once you get there. The most expensive part of Bali is just getting there. Oh, child, because I was looking for my birthday in August, and the flights right now are like, I think the cheapest one I saw today was like $1,600, and that's not even a direct flight. That was like a 32-hour flight from Atlanta. It was too much. I looked coming out of Newark, because I know up on the north side usually have good flights going to Europe, but the flights are just really expensive. So once you get there, like, hotels are super affordable. I saw a really good package for Dubai. It was actually an agent rate. It was like the package was like, I think $1,200, but they were giving it to me for $5 because I'm a travel agent. And I saw it and I was like, you can't go to Dubai because your sister will probably disown you because she's been wanting to go to Dubai forever. And I'm not really that hype about Dubai, so maybe that would be a little sister trip coming up. All right, I feel like the land package booking is more affordable for us Caribbean travelers. It absolutely is. When I was moving to New York, I was able to go to a travel agent office. I don't know if they still have them in Antigua, to get a layaway for my flight to New York. It was like $1,000 EC, so like 300 and something US, and I was able to get a payment plan. Jiz, $500 for what, girl? I'm gonna send you that supplier. They're offering agent rates for like $500 to go to Dubai. I think it's like 4 something, and it gave you like it was a 5-day trip and like 3 nights at one hotel, 2 nights at another hotel, and it had like that barbecue dinner that they do in the desert or whatever with the ATV ride. They had that a part of it. They had another like city tour in it. It was a really good deal. I'm gonna go ahead and send you that insider rate, Jiz. As per usual, if you want to book a trip, go ahead and use that link in the pinned comment, or if you're on TikTok or Facebook, the link is also in my bio. That is the quickest way to get a quote from me, or just make sure that you're in the key. Like, oh, she said she'll drink to that? Okay, I'll drink to that. I can't tell you on TikTok how many people have message me if I'm at work or something and I see it and I don't write it down somewhere or make a note of it in my phone. You'll get lost in that TikTok, because TikTok messages, for some reason, I can't find anything because there's so many people coming in, following you and sending you waves. So messages get buried. So the best way to get a quote to me is to just go ahead and use that link in my bio. And even if you want to use the link in my bio and then come back to my Facebook DMs or TikTok and be like, hey, I sent you quote or whatever you want. add some more details on a more personal level, I'm okay to that. But the best way to get a quote is to go ahead and use that link, fill that form out, and that would give me all the information I need. It'll give me a budget, how many people, where you want to go, how long you want to stay. It gives me an email address, so I'm able to send you a direct response via email, or I'll be able to send you your quotes via email. Also, whether you're in the Caribbean or if you're in the UK or if you're in the US and you want to become a travel business owner, go ahead and use that link as well. There's a tab that says Start Your Travel Business. You go on that tab and you input my sponsor code, which is Arielle268, because rep and you. Arielle268, you put that in and you're going to receive a webinar in your email a few minutes later that details the travel business. You're going to learn how you get paid. You're going to learn how to navigate the travel business. You're going to learn how the relationships with suppliers work. You're going to learn what suppliers you have access to as a travel agent. And you're going to be able to start a travel business on your own right there and then. I would get a notification that you've joined my team, and I'll reach out to you with my personal agent starter guide, and then we'll set up a one-on-one coaching session so we're able to go through that information so you have a good walkthrough to start. Because I know when I started, it was although I did get that start guide from my sponsor, it was still a lot of information to process. There was still a lot of little details that I felt like coaching session was needed for. So that's something that I offer to anyone who signs up and joins the business with me. You guys know how to put in a quote, where to go. You guys know how to start a travel business. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Let me check and see if I have any comments. Nisha says, thank you so much for this very informative live. Really shed light on traveling and traveling safely and affordably. Thank you, girl. And go ahead and hit me up, because I didn't know what life was like before I actually started traveling. As an islander, you only know what you see on TV. So being able to share this information with you guys, being able to travel within itself is like everything to me. So I'll do anything to have you guys be able to experience that as well. I see some new comments. Let me go through those. My sister said Barbuda nice. Thank you, Jiz, for reposting my code. Yeah, go ahead to getpaidintravel.com and put that code in, and you'll get all the information you need to be able to start a travel business. If you ever thought about traveling solo and whether you're scared, you don't know how to book, you don't know what supplies to trust, come and get at me. If you want to have a conversation about places I've been to, El Salvador is a great place to start, and I have local connections there that will take care of you. You want to go to Colombia, you want to go to Bermuda, you want to go on a cruise, you want to go to Jamaica, Cayman Islands, you want to go to, where else have I been? You want to go to Puerto Rico, you want to go to Jamaica, you want to go to DR. DR is where it's at. Shout out Keeping It Real Single coming up in November. I'll be there. Especially my Antiguans. I need y'all to come out, because everyone that's booked with me for DR right now is coming out of Antigua. So if you're not booked with me to go to DR for our singles trip, you're playing with yourself. And not only it's not only available to single people. Sorry, I'm reading comments. If you're in a couple and you guys are high vibrational means that you're going to come out and you're going to be able to be around singles with your significant other and not have any issues, not have any drama because your man or your girl is over there talking to somebody else. It's okay. We all here to have fun. We're all going to be respectful. So couples are welcome on our singles trip. You just have to come drama free. Thank you, Jess, for posting that. All right. I want to go on that colorful side you were on. Looks scary and fun. Oh, the picnic slide? Girl, I would never do that again. But it was fun. And my tour guide was so amazing. He literally ran to the bottom of the, it's like on top of a hill. He ran to the bottom of the hill with my tripod and my cell phone to put it down there so that it'll catch me going down. And then he took a picture with his phone, a video with his phone of me going down. So I got like different angles. He's amazing. Just going through the comments one more time. This live was supposed to be an hour, and I'm going an hour and almost 30 minutes with y'all. I like it here. I need to know if next week, Wednesday for Wind Down, you guys want to talk about cruises. Because cruises are one of the things that I've been getting a lot of inboxes about. People are asking, are cruises family friendly? Are cruises what? You know how many kids be on these ships? Yes, they're family friendly. Are cruises all inclusive? Like, I'm getting a lot of questions about cruises. So that's an option I want to do for the next one. I'm a little congested. Another option would be to address my Caribbean people and really go into detail about different itineraries I have for the Caribbean and payment plan options. I could show you itineraries for Jamaica. I could show you itineraries for St. Lucia's. St. Kitts isn't on the supplier, but I can find a supplier that has St. Kitts. For Bermuda, for Colombia, if you want to go to Colombia. And it's not even just the Caribbean, because you have a lot of places, countries that you have access to without a visa that doesn't have to go through the U.S. So you guys let me know. Are we doing Caribbean visa-less travel next week, or are we doing cruises? I made a comment on my page about that, so go ahead and comment if we're doing cruises next week or we're doing travel within the Caribbean. Just remember, if you're on TikTok, go ahead and follow me if I pop up on your page. Someone says, oh, I want to do Dominica. Dominica is beautiful and has so many excursions that are surrounded by nature, like a lot of like river stuff. They have a lot of excursions to go see waterfalls. It's a lot to do. And Dominica is actually a really good option from Antigua because it's so close. So the flights are pretty usually decent. So from Antigua, I know Dominica, Jamaica, and Beef Island, Tortola are really good cheap flight options. One thing I don't like about Tortola, I don't feel like they're good, like a lot of accommodations as far as for Tortola. But for Dominica, yes, I think for Grenada, there's a Royalton in Grenada that's absolutely beautiful. Spice Island, so you know they have a lot of tours, like rum tours. They have like spice tours, tours around the city. All right, yeah. So I could create a poll next week for you guys for the next topic. For this week, I need you guys to go comment on that post to let me know what y'all want to talk about. I could talk about cruises and whatchamacallit all day. I'm over here. I need some. Give me one moment. Oh. What's crazy is last week I did this live with no pants on, so it's a good thing I didn't have to get up last week. I think, is that all comments? No, I see 3 new comments coming in. Cruises, okay. Okay, so we can talk about cruises next week. And these are visa-less cruises that you could do from the Caribbean. I've been getting a lot of questions about that. You know, people want to know whether cruises are all-inclusive, if alcohol is involved. People want to know if they could cruise out of Antigua. Like, there are a lot of questions about cruises that I'd love to answer. All right, I think that's it. Let me check TikTok. All right, y'all, it's been real. Thank you so much. Don't forget to share the live. And meet me back here next week so we can talk about cruises. Well, I'm going to be covering both visa-less cruises and cruises out of like Miami for people who do have visas. All right, y'all. Have a good bye.